Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Roush will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Society. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. I'm here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversation. Today's episode is an on-air coaching call with a longtime friend and client and society member, Tracey Warren. Tracey, welcome to the show, friend.
Woo, that's me. Thank you.
I'm so happy you said yes to doing an on-air coaching call. We've known each other for quite some time. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. One of the things I think one of the first things I realized that we had in common is my first book, and I think your first book.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We're part of a series of books called 6-Word Lessons.
Right.
So I have a book, 6-Word Lessons on Influencing with Grace. And I remember reading your book before I wrote mine because I wanted to really get a sense of what is this series about? And it was so helpful and interesting. And your book is 6-Word Lessons on, you say?
Successful social media.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was awesome. I learned a lot. It's a quick read.
Mouthful. Yeah, it is a quick read, but yeah. Great about it.
Yeah. I love that. I love it because it's a bunch of tips. I love tips. And that's why I love that series so much. So I think that's the first thing we had in common. And then we've been working together off and on for quite a few years.
Yeah.
It's been fun. It's been a journey. You've transitioned. You've done a lot of cool things.
And I'm transitioning again. So that's part of why I was excited to have this conversation with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Well, tell everybody what you're doing now and a little bit about your business.
Okay, well, so now my business is InSpark Co-working. So it's a co-working space. And prior to this, I ran a social media marketing company. And what I'm realizing is in the age of COVID, co-working is going to do what it does, right? There's not a whole lot I can do to impact whether people feel safe or not coming to work in public. And I needed to do something to drive revenue. So I'm shifting a little bit back to my social media roots, but with a twist. So InSpark Co-working will now be one part of my business, and the other part of my business will be InSpark Social. But social is a play on words. So it's not just about social media, it's about community.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which is so much of who you are, community. Yeah. I feel like in all the years that I have known you, that you surround yourself with a phenomenal community of people. You're very connected. When I lived in the Seattle area, there's very few people who I know who don't know you. Like, I feel like you are very well known and you are such a community builder. So this idea of InSpark Social is super exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the whole idea behind it is what if we all thought about our businesses with community in mind? How much easier would that make running a business or running a Facebook group or a Sales Maven Society, right? Like, I feel like that's something that you have done with the society is you have this really tight-knit community of people who know one another, know you, and know how to refer you. And I would imagine that makes running Sales Maven a lot easier.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. So when you think about InSpark Social, how would you describe it?
I am currently working on that.
Yeah.
But I really want to work with people who, this is something that's really been landing, is they post on their page and all they ever get is crickets.
Yeah.
When I say that, people like, wait, that's me. And so that's one of the ways, but I also want to show them how to identify and nurture key relationships rather than trying to listen to everyone, right? Like, there's no way you can listen to everyone and stay connected with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stay connected to 25, 50 key people, that's where everything can be a lot easier. But the community has to be the overarching piece, right? Like, why am I doing this? Well, because it's about the community. Right?
Yeah.
That's the co-working space too, right? Like, it's about community. It's not just like, if you were going to go to Starbucks and instead you wanted to come to InSpark, you might not be a good fit here. But if you want a place to work where you might also meet someone new or collaborate with someone or joke around with someone, then this is a better place.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, tell me, how can I be of service to you today? What is something that we can work on that will be helpful for you as you are growing your business?
Well, the biggest thing I think for me is, while I have a pretty big network of people, I am starting something from scratch, basically. Because while I ran a social media marketing company before, that was about me managing social media for people. There will be absolutely no management in this. This is all about people. Yeah, I learned my lesson. This is all about people doing it themselves. And so I feel like I'm just starting from scratch. So how do I go from nothing to, I have a giveaway on my website. Then they get a couple of nurturing emails, but ultimately I want to build a membership, whatever that looks like. And I'm not sure. And then I feel like I'm starting from scratch, and that is beautiful in so many ways, because I get to, like, okay, let me start this in the quote unquote right way. Not that there's any right way or that we ever arrive at what the right thing is, but I think ultimately I want to have a plan for growing my list and filling my membership. And I don't want to say quickly, but I want to do it quickly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Right? Like, am I having a webinar that gets people onto my list? And or whatever that looks like. So building some sort of funnel, and I also hate the word funnel. And, I almost said staircase when I applied, but I thought that would be way too obvious. So,
well, I love the staircase. Okay. So I have some thoughts around this, just based on some of the stuff that you've shared. Now, I also have some inside information because you and I have been coaching a while. So I know some other conversations that we've had around this. But my suggestion is, one, there needs to be an influx of new leads coming onto your list every month. So what does that look like? That usually means that you can bring leads onto your list a couple different ways, right? You can run ads. That's one option. You know this as somebody who managed people's social media. You can run ads. You can guest on podcasts, right? And talk about community. And I love guesting on podcasts. I think it's a great way to build some beginning of know, like, and trust. People are willing to kind of check you out. You could have your own podcast. This is another way to bring people into your community in that way. And you can go and speak, which I know you do, and have You have years of experience of speaking on all different types of topics that people rave about you as a speaker when you go into the room. So that's another great way to bring people to that next step with you. And then the piece that I think we have the most control over right now in our current situation is you can host your own live events. And that could be a training, that could be a webinar, that could be a community event, right? It could be anything you want it to be, as long as there's an offer, there's a next step for people to take with you. So I love you testing at least, 3 of these things and seeing which one starts to bring you leads. Now, you mentioned this idea of a membership. I obviously love the membership model. I have found it to be one of the most rewarding pieces that I have put into my business. One, because it's super satisfying to watch this group grow and expand and have these huge wins, and like all that piece of it is very fulfilling. The other side of it is that it's also financially rewarding. And it's a really great foundation piece for your business as you start to add other pieces. So I love a membership model for you. And the thing about membership is, I think sometimes we think we need a bunch of content. We need a bunch of, stuff in there for people. I think you need a little bit of content. And what you need then is to start building community, because my coach has always said this to me. I say this to my clients too. I know this to be true, is that people initially will sign up for content, right? So you want to have some juicy stuff in there, but what they stay for is community. And that's where you really shine, is you know how to build community. My suggestion is that you start a beta group of your membership. Just beta it. Now, you don't have to tell people they're beta. And as a matter of fact, I don't think you should. I did when I started mine. I told people, you could come in as a beta member. Had I known what I know now, I would have said, you can come in as a founding member. Right. And I did have people come in. And actually, I still have a couple founding members in the group 4 years later. And I launched it initially with this idea of, I want to launch it with just 10 people. Like if I could get 10 people, then I can kind of test the waters a little bit. And then I did a second beta round launch to invite a few more people into it. So again, I'm just kind of testing the waters and seeing what was the piece I liked, what were the things that people were getting value out of, where did I need to kind of boost some pieces of it, what was happening with where were people falling off? There's, it's this huge learning curve, frankly. But the way to shorten your learning curve, I think, is to beta it and test it.
So can I ask you a question about that? Because, this is an on-air coaching call, so I guess the answer is yes. So
the answer is almost always yes when someone says, can I ask you a question?
The difference between me and someone like you is... you have a ridiculous amount of content built in to what you're doing with the Sales Maven Society. Yeah. I don't have that. And so I think that I have felt some hesitation there. Not that I don't, it's all in my brain, right? I just don't have a membership site or a vault or whatever. And so I've wondered if that's a problem, and my guess is that it's probably not.
It's not. I'm going to give you an example. So I did a podcast interview with a podcaster a few months back, and we really kind of hit it off. I really liked this guy. I thought he was really interesting. We have a lot of kind of similar philosophies when it comes to sales. We had a great conversation before the call. We had a, nice, really good podcast interview. And then after, we had this great call. So he sent me a message the other day. So I'm going to give you this real life example. He sends me a message. He says, Nikki, I have an idea and I want to talk to you about it. And I was like, great. Of course, I'm going to get on the call with this guy. I really liked him. And he gets on the call and he says, I'm putting together this group and here's the premise behind it. And he tells me a little bit about it. And he's like, I'm kind of in the beginning stages. I have 30 people who've said yes. You're somebody I'd love to have in this group. And the idea behind it is it's a way to really collaborate with people that you might not ever meet otherwise. So I'm already in, right? Because I love to meet people that I wouldn't meet otherwise, collaboration, community, right? And he goes, here's what I have. I have a Slack. We have like a Slack group.
Channel.
So we have a Slack channel and I didn't even know. I was like, I don't even have Slack, so I don't know what that is, but you tell me more. And he's like, you're going to go sign up for this. It's free, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, and we're going to do one meeting a month. And as the group grows, we'll look for other ways to do it. And I said, great, I'm in. He's great. It's $1,000. I'm like, okay, no problem. I signed up. Like I'm totally in because one, he's bringing people that I would not meet otherwise. There is opportunity in there to collaborate. I love the concept behind it. There's zero content, zero. It's a group. Now he could have said it's, $100 a month. I still would have said yes. Because I look at it and go, not that $1,000 is nothing, but it's enough of like the risk reward for me is I'm willing to put that money forward and see what this group is about, see if I can bring any value. Now, the one thing he did do, and you could do this too, is he had a spreadsheet that you have to go fill out. So it's like a Google Doc or something,
Yeah, sure.
And so you go and you fill it out and he asks these great questions like, the stuff about your business, like tell us who you are, what you do, what your website is, your social media channels, all that kind of stuff. But then he says, what can you provide to the group? So, okay, well, that's good. I like that question because here's the things I can provide. What do you want to get out of the group? Okay, I'm going to be really forthcoming and honest because I put some money on the line here. This is what I like to get out of the group too. But it was super interesting to read other people's answers on just a spreadsheet. Like that alone.
Because everyone could read it.
Yeah. Everybody that is in the group has access to this sheet and they can see everybody else's information, their answers. So now he's already starting to build community. You can do this, Tracey. Now, what you charge is, we could look at talking about pricing and all that kind of stuff that goes along in it. But the thing that you have is you have kind of what he has. People trust you. I felt very comfortable. I trust this guy. I don't think he's going to run off with my money and close the group next month. I mean, he could, but I don't think so. He's legit. You're legit. People know you. You have a way of bringing people together. As a matter of fact, you have introduced quite a few people into the Sales Maven Society because you're a great ambassador out there, right? So when you provide people this opportunity to connect with people that they wouldn't connect with otherwise, there is value in that. Now, and you can say, well, this is a networking group or it's a blah, blah, blah. Like,
oh, no.
But that's not what you're talking about here. Mm-hmm. You're talking about giving concrete examples of how people can really start to build deeper, lasting connections with people. And I know some of the strategies that you do because I'm on the receiving end of some of the things that you do, right? That really keep you and I connected. I know you extend yourself often to people in the ways I'm not going to go into it because that's Tracey's special sauce, but you have some ways that you really do make people feel a part of your group and you, and that you're thinking about them. And that I just think people are going to say yes. And it's just a matter of you. So yeah, it's a matter of you putting it out there. And then now once you kind of start the group, the idea is about retention, right? So what are you going to do to retain members? So once they're in, so you could do a beta group where you ask them to commit to 3 months or 6 months. So it gives you time to really start to build some community around that. That actually is what I would recommend for you, is ask people to commit for a certain period of time so that you really have time to work out some of the kinks and look for the places where what do people find to be the highest value of the group, right? Like I know in my group, one of the things people find the highest value in is that they can post messages to me and that I offer tweaks, right? Like, here's what I'm thinking about writing to a client. Nikki, what would you say here? Like, people constantly come back and go, that's like that is worth the membership right there. So that's not something I'm going to get rid of, right?
No.
But I didn't know that initially. I didn't know that that would be the piece that people were like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite thing about the group. But I only know that now because I tried it out. I tested it. I gave people some options of ways. Now I did other things too that were flops, frankly, things that people were like, I don't really care about that. Like I did a thing last year, or not last year, I guess. Well, depends on when this airs, but kind of when COVID really hit, I really wanted to amplify the members' business. And so I said, hey, how about if I let you guys all do a training? Here's the parameters, and then I'll post it inside the group. Now, people initially were like, yeah, sweet, that's awesome. But only 7 people did it. And so then I was like, well, that wasn't a huge hit. So I probably am not going to focus on that. But here's what I did is I started doing these check-in calls that people were like, oh my gosh, these check-in calls are awesome. Right. And so
Isn't that funny?
We don't know these things until we test it. So that's why I think do a beta round. The next month, do a beta round 2, invite some more people in, tell them you're going to get founding member, like you become founding members. You give them a special rate to come in and really participate. And then you just test things out. And you see what are the things that they really love. And it could be something as simple as a spreadsheet that they can see who else is in the group. Or maybe you don't want to release that information. I don't know, but
well, I don't know either.
Yeah.
But something you just said that gave me a really good idea is I was on a call this week. Somebody asked, it was a strategy session that I had gifted as a door prize. And they were like, well, Tracey, what if, could I write up a bunch of content and meet with you and you could tweak it? And I'm like, that could be like an add-on, right? Like if you want to talk to me once a month, send me your content, I'll tweak it. Or gosh, we don't even have to get on the phone. But offering social media tweaks is like the same thing as what you're offering with the sales tweaks or sales emails tweaks.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I want to start. I'm so excited to just go. And I think I've been delaying because I don't exactly know what I'm doing yet. And yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of the thing that's oftentimes holds people back is we're like, I don't kind of know what I'm doing yet. But realistically, none of us do until we get in there and do it.
Ever.
Right. And so even what you think you're going to do, right? Like even I remember you, I feel like there was a conversation we had very early on before you started the co-working space, and you had this brilliant idea about doing this. And I would be willing to bet that if you went back and listened to that conversation that we had, what you offer now at InSpark doesn't look the same. Maybe.
Oh, probably not.
Things evolve, right? And once you had InSpark open, then there were some other things you could do. There were some other opportunities for people, so things shift. But the only way that happens is because you opened InSpark co-working. That's the only way it happens. So the same thing's going to happen with your membership. The only way you're going to start to adjust and tweak and get it where it's like, okay, now it's cooking and it's feeling really good and I'm really enjoying it, is by doing. I mean, so this is why I say you don't have to tell everybody about it because, you beta it, you test it. I do betas quite often, usually at least once or twice a year. I have put some type of beta, something together. And I have a select group of people that I will go, I think this would be a good fit for this person. So I'm going to invite them, but nobody else is going to see this. So if it's a total flop, okay. And if it goes really well, then I might open it up to my full list. And that's really Sales Maven Society in its first iteration. Well, one, it wasn't even called Sales Maven Society, but it had a different name. it was a completely different price point. It was a much higher price point. I was charging $250 a month versus now $107, like very different. There was not near the kind of content that there is now. And there wasn't as much live interaction either. And people were willing to pay that even. Right. But I found like, oh, if I tweak this, if I do this, now I could bring more members in, I could serve more members, I can bring the price down. It makes it easier for like people to say yes and take a chance on. Right. So I think you start, you do it.
Just go.
You just go.
For goodness sake.
I didn't even have the training center when I started. I had a hidden page on my website that was password protected that had like one training module. Now in there, there's like
that's amazing.
200 or 250. I don't even know. There's so much content in there. We started with one training module.
That's pretty cool.
So I know you can do this. I know you have the contacts. Now, kind of back to this other piece where I always say you got to start is that there has to be something to feed new people and into this group. And the way that you attract new people, podcasting, putting on live events, nurturing them in an email sequence, all that stuff has to also come into play because people won't just go like, hey, sign me up for this group because I see you have a web page about it. That doesn't work.
No. Yeah, that, well, and I think I will probably do some sort of webinar. That the plan was to do that ahead of now. And then like even your 7-minute video offer, like I had a paralyzed vocal cord. So there was a lot I didn't do for a number of months.
Yeah.
And, but I love this idea of, well, I mean, the idea of constantly having new people. And like you said about the guys group that you joined, like I have become a part of some new communities that are super rich with wonderful people. I'm like, oh, yay, I'm meeting new people. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing.
But just starting.
Just start. By the way, if you want to test a training module as a lifetime member of the Sales Maven Society that you are, you could do a training at any point and I'll post it in there and I'll share it in the group. So you still have the option. So now only lifetime members can right now do a training. So if you have one, I mean, put it together, test it. You never know. I'm totally fine with you having a call to action at the end. And you might have some new community members who want to come and be a part of the InSpark Social.
Whoop, whoop.
Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Test it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that.
Okay. What else? Anything we haven't talked about yet that would be helpful?
Do you think that webinars are still as effective right now, even in this Zoom fatigue COVID era?
It's so funny that you're asking me this because I do a live webinar every month as a way to drive, like, people get exposed to me, people who are on my list that maybe have never done a training with me. So I do a live thing. It's the same content. I do it every month. And last month, I was feeling kind of frustrated with the month before with the turnout because one, I spend money, I do ads and I was kind of frustrated with the turnout, just like how many people actually showed up versus how many people registered. Cause I had a really great registration, not a great turnout. And I was like, that's it. I'm taking a month off and I'm going to regroup and decide if I want to keep doing this. And I kind of made that decision because I have to make the decision pretty early on just with the way my schedule works. So I made the decision pretty early on. But within about a week of doing the webinar, I actually had brought in the same number of people that I consistently bring in, even when I have a really great turnout, and generated some additional income from it. So then I was like, well, dang, Nikki, obviously it works. So I'm doing one next week, right? Like it's part of my monthly routine. I put it on the schedule Now, the idea is that I am bringing new people onto my list every month. So this is an opportunity. If they have never been on a live something with me, it's a way for them to actually learn something. And then they're going to get an offer to join the Sales Maven Society. It's all about driving traffic. Does it drive a huge amount of numbers? No, I wish it drove I wish I was bringing in 50 to 80 new members a month. That would be awesome. That's not what it's doing, but it is building the community every single month. It's bringing new people into the group, and those new people are then contributing. They're awesome members. Not all of them stay. Some of them come in, check it out and go, not for me. I don't participate. I don't, whatever. Right. It's fine. They leave for whatever reason. But the people who stay really engage, and it's been awesome. So yes, I think you can still do live webinars. I think your content, I think we even talked about this. You and I strategized a name for, okay.
Copying your name. I know, which was something like why you're not getting social media engagement and what to do differently.
Yeah. So mine is why you're losing sales and what to do instead. And I think we did. Yeah. I feel like we tweaked it a little bit.
We did.
I think you test it. Now here's the thing. You test it. You can't just test it once. You have to give it like three times at least before you decide it's a dud. But what I found is that sometimes I change the title. I tweak the title a little bit because the content is rock solid. I know people get value out of the content. How I know it is that I have people who sign up for it every month, which I always think is crazy. People who are already clients still come to the webinar because they're like, you'll always say something or you'll always answer a question. And I'll be like, oh, I'm so glad that I was on this call today. I'm like, okay, if you want to come every month, that's your choice.
And what's true is it has nothing, it's not you, it's I'm different every month, or something you say, even though you've said it 100 times, like, oh, that's really smart. I'm like, as if you haven't ever said that before, right? You've said it over and over.
I know. I said to a client earlier today on a coaching call, I said, what you'll find is when you feel like I couldn't possibly say this another time, that's when somebody will show up and be like, so I heard you made this comment. And you're like, wait, we've been working together for how long? And you're just hearing it for the first time. And I say it 80 times a day, it feels like.
So I just listened to Big Magic again. And one of the things Elizabeth Gilbert says is, she'll have people come up to her and say, oh, that thing in the book changed my life. The way you did this, this, and this. And she to herself is like, I never said that.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't in the book. But it's how people hear things or see things, or it could be that it's a Tuesday and you didn't get a good night's sleep. So you hear something differently, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. So it's repetition is this idea that people want to hear it and they need to hear it over and over, especially when like this is rock solid stuff. It's going to help people. And when they're ready to hear it, what's the saying? Like when the student's ready, the teacher appears or something.
Yes.
It's kind of that same concept of just continuing to put your message out there. When it's a good message, it's going to make an impact. Like I have people who I've worked with for years that are like, okay, I'm just now ready for this piece of the stuff that, you and I worked on in a VIP day 4 years ago. I'm like, okay,
great.
You're just now ready. Okay. Well, here I am again. Like, let's go through it. Let's work it out for you. So be willing to just repeat it and let people get comfortable with it. Let them take the next step. The other reason I love the idea of you doing the same webinar over and over again is because you're not supposed to just be giving free, all new, free all the time. So when you give the same thing over and over, people can either decide like, yes, I'm totally in on this and I want to come in and be a part of it. Or they go, I'm so sick of her talking about X, Y, and Z, and I don't really want to be on our list. Good. Go away.
Yeah,
that's good. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Move
totally
out.
Fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it when people leave my list.
Yeah. I don't mind either. I mean, I want people who want to be there, and the people who don't want to be there, bless and release. I'm so happy for you to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want to ask you, I don't normally ask this in an on-air coaching call, but what's the next step you're going to take? Because I feel like you're ready. You're ready.
The next step I'm going to take is planning a date for this first webinar.
Okay. With an offer attached.
Yes, with an offer attached. Yes.
To join InSpark
Whatever
Social.
This fit. It won't be called InSpark Social. It'll be called something, but I need to figure that out. So
just set the date.
You know that now Julie Fry on her calls, she says, so what are your takeaways? And I'm like, it's Nikki Roush times 2.
Well, you know, I love to hear what are people's takeaways. And if you're not asking that question, by the way, at the end of your coaching sessions with somebody, then you're missing out on them reinforcing the value of what they got out of it, them taking action, and more importantly, you getting an understanding of what's the stuff that really resonates. So you know what to talk about more and more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, love it.
I love that.
Okay, so you're going to set a date. I want to hear what the date is so I can promote it.
Okay.
And share about it.
You know. Okay. Thank you.
So as we wrap up today, I always like to end with 2 questions. The first one is, what has been one benefit for you as being a part of the Sales Maven Society?
Honestly, I feel like sales it's one of those elusive things, but it's really not elusive when you learn, right? Like, so one of the biggest things for me is I have radically changed all of my languaging when I email people because of the Sales Maven Society. So I look at everything and look at how many times I'm saying I or we, and taking those things out. And I think I'm a pretty good wordsmith, so it's pretty easy for me to do that. But just the ever learning, right? Ever learning. But the email piece has been huge for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Okay. And now how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way for people to reach out to you? And tell them.
Okay. So I am all about community. And another core value is fun. So I created what's called Nurture Your Network Bingo. That's what it's called now, although that name will likely change. But if you want to play Nurture Your Network Bingo, you can go to nynbingo.com.
Awesome.
And you can get your own copy of Nurture Your Network Bingo.
And then you'll be connected to Tracey.
Then you will, yes.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate having you here. It's fun to have this live call with you for on-air coaching call, because we've done so many coaching calls over the years.
Thank you for, giving me a kick in the rear to move forward. I appreciate that.
You're ready. Okay. So for the listener, the best place for you to start igniting your sales is to join the Sales Maven Society. So you are invited to take part in this group. This is the place where you and I connect. I will be your guide on how to boost your confidence in your sales situations, conversations, and everything sales related. And you'll be connected to this incredible group and community. I'm stealing Tracey's word. To join the Sales Maven Society, go to www.salesmavensociety.com, enter the coupon code 27trial, and you can join your first month for only $27. That's an $80 savings off the monthly membership. We'd love to have you come check us out, see if this is a good fit for you, and take away something that you can immediately implement into your business. So come join us. And then last, if we haven't connected on social media yet, I invite you to connect with me. I tend to hang out inside my group on Facebook in the Sales Maven Society, but I'm also on Instagram and on LinkedIn. You can find me there. I would love to hear from you as a listener. What have been your takeaways from the show? What are the things that you are implementing? It's been really fun to hear from listeners what they're sharing. So I hope to connect with you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.